For my entrepreneurial interview, I chose to interview my grandfather, Richard Gregorian. The interview was focused on the hockey rink that he formerly owned and operated. At this point, he no longer runs or owns the business, but he does run an arena operating company, which he did not touch upon in the interview. This opportunity to speak with him allowed me to dig deeper and refresh the things that he has previously shared with me about his experience as an entrepreneur. There were a few things that he stressed in the interview, which he thought would be very important to myself and other aspiring entrepreneurs. When I asked Richard how he came to be an entrepreneur, his response is much different than what most people say. The normal response is that I want to be my own boss, which is off base because as an entrepreneur, all your accounts, clients, and customers are your bosses because you have to do what they want in order to satisfy their needs. His rationale for the reason he became an entrepreneur was that he thought he was a better employee than he was being compensated for. So he decided to test himself and find out what he was truly capable of doing. I think that this is inspiring because he was willing to take a risk and leave his comfort zone in order to reach his full potential. He then shed some knowledge on his experiences. He explained that his greatest achievement was having survived what he didn't know, and he was still successful. I think that this statement can apply to everyone, especially a young entrepreneur who has little to no experience and is learning along the way. When he got into the ice hockey business, he knew nothing. He was able to learn and overcome these shortcomings in order to become successful in his field. This teaches me not to be scared of the unknown or the fact that you might not have all the answers right away. When I asked him the advice that he would offer to a first-time entrepreneur that was very important, he said that you should be willing to pay the price that it takes to be an entrepreneur. What he meant by this is that you can't just decide that one day you're unhappy with what you're doing because you're no longer willing to pay the price that it takes to get the job done. I think this means the time and hard work aspect of the job needs to be understood before you get involved. You need to be willing to sacrifice a certain lifestyle that you can achieve with a 9-to-5 job. This means that you might have inconvenient hours or have to work harder and cannot take the easy way out. It is important to know what you're getting yourself into and to be prepared and willing to live this life before you get started. When I asked him his greatest fears as an entrepreneur, I found his response unusual to what I would expect to hear from most people. He explained to me that he really didn't fear anything, but rather thought fear was healthy. He thought that these were things that motivate him and control him. Fear would allow him to look at a problem properly in order to overcome the issue. He said that he likes to think his fears as necessary rather than a crippling part of what you do. I think this is a positive way to look at challenges and the things that might scare you while running a business. Instead of being intimidated or believing you can't overcome the issue, use it as your advantage to get extra motivation. I often have conversations with my grandfather about his experiences, but I rarely ask him questions. I usually spend the time listening to what he has to offer. I think this was an opportunity for me to gain some new entrepreneurial advice from this interview that he might not have shared otherwise. He stressed to me how important hard work is, and regardless of how smart you are, this is what can help you get by. Also, how much your attitude going in every single day is important to your mental strength and focus of being successful. It was a great opportunity to learn about his experiences and his highs and lows of being an entrepreneur.